Good morning. It's thankfully bright, a bit blustery this morning. Apologies if there's a bit of wind noise as well as wind chill. It's bonfire night here in Britain. We celebrate the rebels trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament, and with true British sense, we've turned that into a party. I suppose a bit like for you Americans, the Boston Tea Party or Thanksgiving. I don't know. Anyway, it's been very wet this week, keeping most of us, including myself, indoors in my tiny house, which I don't object to, by the way. Excuse me, I'm very cozy in my tiny house. Although I do have to find a new supplier of logs because my usual supplier has gone out of business. And buying logs and kindling, as I have done this morning, from the petrol station, the gas station, is double the cost. So I have to do my log supply sourcing better. It's a welcome break to get out into the fresh air and the woods. I normally walk this way most days, but this is the first time I've been in the woods in the Cathedral of Trees for a week, and I don't know if they've missed me, but I've missed them. I've just left my peace with my tall tree friends just back there. One of my favourite sayings that feels right for me is, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. Now that can be taken at a very surface level, tantamount basically to saying we all have different points of view. Well, that in itself is true. We do all have different points of view, don't we? And in a world that's falling apart, or worse, at each other's throat, it seems, those different points of view become contentious, if not dangerous, if not violent, and we end up not just throwing stones at each other's glass house, but sometimes something worse. And there's been, according to the BBC News this morning, an 800% rise in occasions of anti-Semitism, aggression against Jewish people in Britain. Never thought we'd see the day. There have been thousands on the streets of London yesterday, Saturday, campaigning or protesting, however you want to put it, for a ceasefire, which is causing ructions in certainly the English Labour Party. I'm going to have to tread carefully here in more ways than one, aren't I? Because it's very muddy underfoot. So I'm avoiding, as I did when I was a kid, muddy bits. I didn't like to get my feet and hands muddy. I wasn't a muddy child. So there are differences of opinion, and I think it's entirely right and proper that we should be able to express it. Yes, including on the streets and with banners. In my opinion, that I am told the government, our Home Secretary, Suella Braverman is encouraging the government to change the definition of extremism in this country, anyway, Britain, to include just about any opinion other than the government's party line. Does this have echoes to you of some sort of totalitarian state? Yes, it does to me as well. A bit worrying. So there's this sort of background swell of more authoritarian policing and clamping down on alternative opinions, which is really not good for a society that wants to live together. We don't want to be coerced, do we? Kettled is the word in police demonstrations, I believe. I haven't been on a demonstration actually myself since the Don't Attack Iraq demonstration of 1 million people in, I think that was about 2003, and then look what happened then. I'm afraid my activism, apart from moving to the tiny house to be less trouble to the world, amounts to reading a book with the virtuous title Spiritual Activism. I'll let you know how I get on with that. Good morning, love. I always give that tree a pat. So this idea of we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are, really seems more and more true and more important to the possibility of living with our neighbour, let alone cohabiting with our neighbour, let alone loving our neighbour as ourselves. Now there's a challenge. I don't see many banners on the streets saying love your neighbour as yourself. Goodness me, that would be a bit of a radical step, wouldn't it? Or just for my new political party, big posters just saying be kind. How about it? Shall we take to the streets with the Be Kind party? But rather more philosophically, this idea of not seeing the world as it is, but as you are, seems patently more true to me when there are ruptures and frictions in our society and in our world, because we all adopt or retreat to the barricades of our opinions. Some might call them prejudice, me included. It is simply a part of the human condition, and it's not wrong, but it makes me pause to consider that whatever it is that the mind tells us is yay or nay, the ayes to the left, the nays to the right, we are all going to have different, the dogs giving their opinion on it, we're all going to have our own view, and very often an opposing or conflicting view. And what this suggests to me, or confirms to me, is that the mind is a trickster, because we can get out our mental shovels and dig a trench, or tunnels to be provocative, to and man the barricades to defend or impose our opinions of the mind. But surely it seems to me that that itself represents duality. This opinion and that opinion, black and white, right and wrong, terrorist and protester, extremist and protester. And this is not a happy recipe for sharing our gruel together, is it? So it seems to me it is incumbent upon us to find a third point, or let's say to transcend or to go beyond, shall we say, trenchant opinions and views, which sounds difficult to me. It's not. Gosh, is this just too naive and optimistic? It's not a case of giving up your beliefs and values. I don't think it's that. It's going beyond it and seeing that there is another side to the coin, another. If you're on the, perhaps you choose, as many do, to walk on the shady side of the street, and I always choose, if the sun's out, to walk on the sunny side of the street. And people in their lives, in their daily lives, will make these choices. Some would say our opinions are no more than rearranging our prejudices. And of course I would include myself in that. I'm not immune from my well-polished prejudice. And if you spot them, put them in the comments below. I need to know. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could see ourselves in the other, if we could learn from other people's point of view rather than grit our teeth or even throw stones at their glass house? I'm not quite sure how this is possible. Well, yes, I do know how this is possible. So here goes. By giving up the mistaken identity that you are this separate little me. And once that is relinquished, like letting go of a helium-filled balloon with me written on it, and instead accepting the truer nature, which is the oneness that we all share. And what is the basis of that oneness? Peace. Peace be with you. Time for breakfast.